Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace be upon you all, and welcome to a new episode of Islam and Natural Philosophy series with Dr. Basil AlTaie. And today, this is the ninth episode, and we're thrilled to hear about, let's say, a new or renewed concept that he's going to talk to us about, which is a new argument for the existence of God that he calls or has coined the term Kalam quantum argument. And from the term, it's already pretty intriguing. So, Dr. Bas, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
So, already an interesting title. So, what do you have to tell us about this?
Yes, today I will talk about this important topic, which is one of the really new proposals to present as an alternative or a complement to the Kalam cosmological argument of Dr. Craig. As we all know, that Dr. William Craig has spent a lot of efforts defending his Kalam, the old Kalam argument, this which is called Kalam cosmological argument.
Yes.
The Kalam cosmological argument, as we all know, was proposed by Dr. William Craig in 1979. In 1979, yes. And there is a full book about it, a small book, but it explains many things. This argument by Dr. Craig was borrowed actually from Abu Hamid al-Ghazali, as he says in the first few pages of his book, The Kalam Cosmological Argument. Now, if we look what it says it has two premises and the result. Premise one, whatever begins to exist has a cause. Premise two, the universe began to exist according to modern cosmology. Therefore, the conclusion is that the universe must have had a cause to exist.
Right.
The idea is that this in itself is sufficient to prove that a creator should exist or must exist in order to execute or to be a cause for the existence of the universe. However, as we all know also that this argument has been criticized by many, and some people could not be convinced with it, especially those who are working in cosmology, for example. I mean, you can have many names: Stephen Hawking, Lawrence Krauss, Alexander Velikin, many others were not convinced with this argument, although they believe that the universe has a beginning. But mind you, maybe as a counter argument, Hawking and James Hartle, tried to prove that the universe has no beginning. Perhaps to refute this argument of William Craig. They tried to prove scientifically, mathematically, that the universe has always existed in time. But what kind of time? Imaginary time. Mathematical, imaginary time. My criticism for the Hawking-Hartle no beginning is that, yes, you are right. The universe could have existed in an infinite imaginary time without a start, correct? But mind you, the imaginary time is not measurable. It's not a physical quantity.
It doesn't exist, essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's like an
The-
imaginary root for a quadratic equation. There is
yeah,
only one
yeah,
one
exactly.
intercept. The other one is just fantasy.
What we are saying that the ontological existence of
Yeah.
the universe in reality
Hmm.
had a beginning, and you are not proving that it has no beginning in the reality.
Yeah.
Big Bang theory would not work. All the cosmology, modern cosmology, is resting on that the universe has a beginning and has a finite life time, or has a finite age.
Yeah.
Okay, nevertheless, as I said, the Craig argument, in my opinion, proves to us that there must be a cause,
Mhm.
and does not prove that it is the cause has to be outside the universe.
Yeah.
My new proposal, what I call the quantum Kalam argument, or the Kalam quantum argument, is actually telling us uh, uh, that a new actually argument. It's a new argument.
Hmm.
Ah, this is based or derived from the fact of established quantum theory,
Yeah.
which was initiated in the beginning of the 20th century,
Hmm.
and now it is a full-fledged theory with applications and verifications. This is very important. I mean, some people would say, well, you are borrowing, where you are bringing a proof or from a theory. No, it's not only a theory. Quantum theory is no longer a theory. It has
Hmm.
been verified by thousands of experiments.
Yeah.
And more than that, what I am relying on this is that the very basic fundamental naturalistic features of quantum mechanics.
Okay.
Yeah. The basic Kalam quantum argument is based on the probabilistic nature of the world,
Yeah.
which, as I said, is verified. It's not a matter of a theory.
Yeah.
A result which is suggested by quantum mechanics and implies that the physical measurements of the world are indeterministic.
Yeah.
Indeterministic.
Yeah.
I will explain this in a moment. This indeterminism led to what we call quantum causality,
Hmm.
in which causal relationships exist, but causal determinism is violated.
Yeah.
How is that? How is that?
Mm.
In a classical system, non-quantum system, you have the state of the system, say a particle,
Hmm.
well defined and deterministic. That's to say, it has a position x and
Hmm.
a momentum p, for example. It
Yep.
has energy E at a time t.
Yeah.
And this, for a classical particle, is well defined quantitatively, accurately, with infinite accuracy. Actually, theoretically, you can determine these with infinite accuracy.
Okay.
Investigating the microscopic world, the atomic and subatomic world,
Mm.
physicists found by the beginning of the 20th century that this is not the case in the microscopic world.
Yeah.
In the microscopic world, you cannot say that events are deterministic. They are indeterministic.
Hmm.
Second, that you cannot calculate any position or momentum or any state of a particle except within certain probability. Again, why is that? Why is that? As I said, in the classical case, a particle have one well-defined state.
Yeah.
In the microscopic world, the particle do have theoretically could be infinite number of states. Yes, when you catch it in an experiment, you catch one of
It's
those,
one of them. Yeah.
one of them.
Yeah.
But is that
The only.
is the only one? It's not the
It's
only
not the
one.
only.
Because if you do the experiment again, you may catch it in another state.
Yeah.
For example, an electron has a spin. The spin has two states. This is the simplest, by the way, Ahmed. This
Yeah.
is the simplest
The
example.
same. Yeah.
Only two states. Spin up, spin down.
Yeah.
So in one experiment, you get it spin up. In another experiment, you get spin down. It's the same electron. It means that if you want to imagine the electron, the state of the electron, out of the experiment, out of the laboratory, only as a theory, you have to write the state of the electron equal certain factor A multiplied by spin up
Yeah.
plus factor B multiplied by spin down.
Down.
This is the state. Whether it is a spin up or down, actually, you have to go to the lab and measure it.
And in this case, A and B are probabilistic and complementary to each other.
Now, what is A and B? The square of A and square of B. Square of A is the probability of having the electron in the spin state up.
Yeah.
The square of B, the coefficient B, is the probability that the electron is in the state down.
Yeah.
Only the experiment will tell you whether it is up or down.
Yes.
Now, the question now here comes. It is indeterministic, agreed. Probabilistic, agreed. By the way, if you generalize, you can say all the phenomena in the world have such a feature that it is probabilistic and indeterministic. All the phenomena. Now, what does that mean?
But as we grow in size, the margin where the probabilities move becomes very, very, very small, almost nil, right?
Yeah, this as we go larger and larger in size and momentum and energy, the probability goes lower and lower and lower, but never zero.
Yeah.
Theoretically, never zero.
Yeah.
You see the point?
No matter how small.
10 to the power minus 100, but it is never zero.
It's never zero. Yeah.
That's why, from the philosophical point of view and from the theoretical point of view, it is always probabilistic. The question is, do we have an equation telling me in quantum mechanics when I can find exactly the electron in the up state and when I can find it in the down state?
To my knowledge,
answer is no. Answer is no.
Yeah.
The theory and only tells you what is the probability.
Yeah.
And then you go to the lab and measure.
Yeah.
Now the question is, if I go in the lab and measure and find it spin down, who has chosen? Who has chosen how it was chosen that the electron will be in spin down state?
Yes. Even spin down might be the lesser probability. Maybe the higher probability is spin up.
Correct. It is not always that the probabilities are the same. Sometimes you have a system of, say, 10 or 15 possible state. We call it possible state. Possible because it is only theoretically possible.
Yeah.
And one of the states is 0.00005, 5 in a million.
Yeah.
5 in a million. It's very, very low probability.
Yeah.
Do we have real example? Yes, we have real example. what happens in the sun, for example, when in the sun, when three helium nuclei form the carbon, or four helium nuclei form oxygen, also, the probability of such a combination is very, very low. I think
Okay.
it is in the case of oxygen. Very low.
Okay. Okay.
It is 0.1%. That is
Okay.
1 in 1,000.
Okay.
But
Okay.
such a probability occur. Otherwise, there will be no oxygen, no nitrogen, no.
All right.
You
Okay.
see, such
Yeah.
a probability happens.
Happens. Happens. Yeah.
So you cannot deny the low probability. You cannot cancel or delete such low probabilities from physics. Many, including, as I said once, Ahmed, in your mobile phone, there are some electrons with energy less than insufficient energy to cross the barrier of the crystals in
Yeah.
your iPhone, in your phone,
Yeah.
in your
Yeah.
mobile phone,
Yeah.
without which there will be no semiconductor physics,
Yeah.
there will be no mobile phones, there will be
Yes.
no quantum communication.
Yes. Yes. Because then there are things
This
like tunneling, etc., that
this
makes them. Yeah.
tunneling,
Yeah. Yeah.
quantum tunneling is very low probability, Ahmed.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. But
Say
diodes
say
still work.
one in
Yeah.
a million, but because you have in your phone billions of electrons, so
Yes.
this probability is, I mean,
Still
there are
happens.
still so
Yeah.
many million of electrons with insufficient energy passing, going through the
The
crystal
barrier. Yes.
and making a current, and that current allows you to receive a signal, etc., etc. Build up what we call semiconductor
Semiconductors. Yeah.
circuit,
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
manufacture a transistor
Yeah.
or a diode,
Yeah.
without which we
Absolutely.
cannot do that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it is essential, as you see, although we don't see it. I mean, people think that, oh, what are you talking about? The quantum mechanics applies only to microscopic. True, it applies to, but not only to microscopic.
Yeah.
This is the mistake that
Yeah.
some people think.
It aggregates, and we can feel its effects on the
Yeah,
macroscopic
exactly.
level also. Yeah.
Yeah. Now we formulate the argument or the statement of the Kalam uh,
Quantum
quantum
argument.
argument. We have here two parts actually. Part one is the need for determinants. It says, premise one, whatever is indeterminate need a determinant to exist.
All right.
Logic. Always the premises in philosophy are based on simple logic. Second, the world is indeterminate by quantum mechanics. The result is that the world needs a determinant to exist.
Okay.
Part two would be to prove or to show that the determinant is not part of the world. Now, this is very important because if it is part of the world, we cannot talk about creator.
Yeah.
If it is
Absolutely.
part of the world has created itself, for example.
Yeah.
Then, in that case. And this argument goes like this in part two. This can be proven by knowing that the determinant cannot be indeterminate. Determinant cannot be indeterminate.
Yes.
Consequently, the determinant cannot be part of the physical world because the physical world is indeterminate.
Okay. Makes sense.
This can also be formulated by saying that the determinant cannot be indeterminate. Since the world is indeterminate, therefore the determinant cannot be part of the physical world.
All
The
right.
determinant has to be some kind of agency beyond the physical world. Why? Because If it was part of the world, then it will follow or obey the same laws applied, including that it will be indeterminate. While it is, by definition, we said it is determinate.
Yeah. Yeah.
By definition, is a determinate.
And
How could it be?
if it is indeterminate, it needs somebody to determine what its state
Yeah,
should be. So
I will formulate this way. If the world needs a determinant for its existence to be determined, and if this determinant is not and cannot be part of the world, then this means that this sustainer of the world is non-physical entity.
yeah, great.
Also, the determinant must be one and not multiple. واحد.
Yeah.
One. توحيد.
Yeah.
How? What's the argument? Otherwise, we will need another determinant and a coordinator. If he's not one, he's not one, we need a super determinant then who will allocate the duty of those determinants, agents. We will need a super who will coordinate between them.
No. Absolutely. إذا لعلى بعضهم على بعض, as the Quran
Exactly.
says. No.
It's beautiful.
No.
And we'll need another determinant and coordinator ad infinitum.
Yeah.
Ad infinitum.
Yeah.
Clear.
Great.
The other feature is that the determinant should be or must be all-knowing. You might put it as omniscient, but I will tell you why I put it between two brackets. And all-powerful, omnipotent. However, these terms need not to be understood within their common conventional meanings.
Okay.
I mean, to be sincere to quantum mechanics and the scientific thinking, I should be aware of this fact that these attributes, omniscient, omnipotent, are not physical.
Yes, of course.
They are not. I mean, when I say omnipotent means all powerful, he doesn't have a nuclear energy in his power, or he has, or he has some high energy accelerator in his power, or it's not like that.
Yes.
The power of the agent who is sustaining the world must be different.
Yeah.
Second,
it's not power like joules per second squares.
Exactly. The knowledge of the divine or this agency, the knowledge in that agent does not obey, for example, the causal order.
Yeah.
So it is not like our knowledge.
Yes.
So when we say he is, or this agency, let us say, is an omniscient, all-knowing, it doesn't mean that the quantum information processing will apply to it, to the information. Why? Because in that structure, we have to apply what is called the causal structure, and while the one who is determining the probabilities and choosing between the probabilities, choosing between the possible states, which state will move, is beyond such a causal structure. It has to be. If it is not beyond, suppose somebody says, why should it be beyond? Because if it is not beyond, if it follows a causal structure, then easily it can be part of the construction of the physical world. And this we have already proven that it is not possible for such an agency.
Yeah.
So
Uh, very
the, yeah,
interesting. Okay, here is back there. Yeah.
this is actually
Mm,
my argument here.
mm,
One of the implications of this argument is the divine intervention in the world. One of the implications, the divine intervention in the world. And here we should say that the divine intervention in the world cannot be physical also, since if so, the divine, as you said, so many megajoules will
mm,
be brought by the agency
mm.
to move, say, the moon, or the move or move even a small particle.
Yeah.
It's not physical. The divine intervention can only be understood as a choice,
Mm.
very important, made by the determinant among the available possibilities.
Yeah.
This choice must be done by agent beyond the physical universe, as I said, and forces and energies included in it. The
Okay.
implication of, sorry, so this can be, for example, a word. It's an order. I mean, here, where
Yes.
is the
Yeah.
word order? It is an order, actually. Order. And the word order can be expressed metaphorically, a word.
Yes. Absolutely.
For example, in the Quran says, وَكَلِمَتُهُ أَلْقَاهَا إِلَى مَرْيَمَ.
Yeah.
That's how Jesus Christ was formed
Yes.
in the womb of Mary.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
not formed by bringing energy and
Yeah.
putting some kind of energy or some, say, molecules or even cells.
Mm.
No, no. It is كلمته ألقاها إلى مريم.
نعم. إنما أمرنا لشيء إذا أردناه أن نقول له كن فيكون. نقول.
نقول
It's a word. It's a speech.
نقول.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have to say.
Yeah.
We only would say.
Yeah.
And say here again is a metaphor. It means order. That's it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And this is the only one way that the second actually implication, which we can talk also about, is the recreation. That is
Mhm.
why that's why the mechanism for sustaining the world basically is recreation of of the transients,
Yeah.
so-called accidents, actually.
Mhm.
Recreating the accident will recreate the whole world, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. Because every change needs an accident.
And every change, no
Mm.
matter how small it is and no matter how big it is subject to this recreation.
Yeah.
Any change, growth, for example,
Mhm.
growth of bodies or plants or freezing water. If I have to freeze water, I mean, if you go in details in thermodynamics and apply the thermodynamics and the statistical mechanics, you see that this change is taking place adiabatically or isothermally, whatever change is taking is in small steps, very, very small steps. And
Mhm.
these are, if you go further in the details, you will see that these steps are very, very minute, temporal, temporal regeneration of the same properties, by which it deviates from the original slightly, 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 and until it makes a change. By the way, here depends, if I want to express it in scientific language, I would say it depends on the external potential.
Mm.
If there is a potential, then there will be a change. The potential could be, for example, a force is a potential, because all potentials are a kind of force. Or it could
Yeah.
be temperature, it could be
Yeah.
heat,
Yeah.
changing the situation, and that is how the change happens. I mean, when you burn a piece of paper, for example, when you burn this thermodynamics taking place, but how it is actually happening is through recreation, billions of times a second, billions of times a second,
Yeah.
until it forms under your eyes in a few seconds from a white piece of paper, a piece of white paper into a black
Ash.
carbon ash.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Amazing. One, maybe I'm sure the audience will have many questions and maybe even some disputes or arguments about the argument.
Could
And
be.
that's why it's an argument, right?
Could be indeed,
Yeah.
indeed. I mean,
Yes.
I would
So,
expect even Dr. Craig himself one day will perhaps discuss this matter with him
yeah.
if we can arrange for, but not now. We have to wait until the argument becomes mature from all aspects.
Yeah.
Then we propose it to see the opinion of Dr. Craig.
So, Dr. Basil, this has been quite interesting. And thank you very much for it.
I expect that the discussions will enrich
Yep.
the whole scope of Daqiq AlKalam and implications. And, I mean, I learn from the people a lot,
Yes.
continuously.
So yeah, great. Inshallah, this will be an interesting discussion, and maybe it's the coming wave. And I think there is also some relations that can be shown between it and the contingency argument and other arguments. So they can, at a point of time, maybe they can come together into one mega argument or something
Yes,
to
uh,
complement each other. Yeah,
exactly. But
yeah,
you have to have some kind of vision when you present your arguments. This, by the way, is not a dogmatic argument. I am against the dogmatic, but it's a framework. Framework. I
yeah,
mean, the scope is within a frame. For example, in Islam, I mean, if somebody comes and he says, "Well, I can show that there is no necessity for the uniqueness of Allah,"
hmm,
I cannot accept that. Here I have to become dogmatic.
yeah,
I mean, this is a question which is out of question.
yes,
There are certain fundamental. Otherwise, I would allow
anything.
for many, many different facets,
Yeah,
different interpretations. It's only the framework that has to be maintained. You see the point?
yeah, yeah.
And
We have to
this
agree. We
not
have to agree on the fundamentals, but maybe we can have differences of view on the details. But the
exactly,
fundamentals have
exactly.
to remain constant. Yeah,
We should not restrict our opinion into a dogmatic channel, very, very frozen or very rigid
yeah,
understanding of, for example, the Quran or the Hadith there are, but obviously, there is a framework.
yeah,
For example, some of people at our modern time has brought some absurd explanations of the Quran, and
yeah,
they claim it is from Islam and it's from Quran.
yeah.
You need not to, for example, fast.
Oh,
You don't
really?
have to fast in Ramadan.
Okay.
It's up to you. For
Ah,
example, you know whom I mean.
yeah. Some would say fasting means الامتناع. So if you just stop doing
Or
bad
I say,
things,
yeah,
you
and
and salah means dua. So it means you can just
exactly.
make
It
dua and
has
not make salah.
This is
So
out of the scope. It
of
is
course,
beyond the
beyond the framework.
framework of the proper
Yeah,
aqidah.
yeah,
Otherwise, if you would say, I can, for example, give permission to those who are suffering from their fasting, For example, he work in an oven.
Yeah. Mm.
He work
Yeah.
in an oven, and every hour he
Sweating all the time.
wet all the time because
Yeah.
of his sweating.
Yeah.
And he says, half the day I start feeling very thirsty, and more than once I fell down. In
Yeah.
that case, I would say, no, this means that you are unable to.
Yeah.
You are able, but you are able with mashaqqa,
Yeah.
with hardship. And this
Yeah.
what it means.
وعلى الذين يطيقونه. Yes.
لأن الإطاقة
Yeah.
هي الاستطاعة مع المشقة. That's it. Full
Yes.
stop. ما في
Absolutely.
داعي واحد. There is no need to elaborate
To
much
go
more.
beyond that. Absolutely.
No, that's it.
Absolutely. So thank you, Dr. Basil, very much, and thanks everybody, and see you also next week. And assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you.